Yeah, look, ADX Energy is a bit of an unusual animal, an ASX listed company focused purely on Europe. We're even more unusual because right now all our operations primarily are going to be and will be in Austria. So there's probably about three pillars to our business. We're currently producing around 340 barrels a day. Last year that generated about 8 million Aussie in operating cash flow that we're able to reinvest in the business. We also made a discovery. That discovery is around 4.5 million barrels net to ADX. So we increased reserves by 20%. We already had production at a small field that's been on virtually zero decline for the last 10 years. And then we've also got a very large exploration portfolio, around 213 million barrels of oil equivalent prospective resource. Then the third leg of the business is actually renewables. And it's not like we're going into some kind of disruption into renewables. In fact, all of our renewable projects are part of our existing asset base. So picture Austria. On one side, you've got Vienna. On the other side, you've got Salzburg. We've got a nice little oil field near Vienna, about 70 kilometres from Vienna. On the other side, near Salzburg, closer to Germany, Munich, we've got about 1,000 square kilometres of exploration acreage. And that's where we recently had our Anshoff discovery. So why Austria, you might say? Well, we've got boots on the ground. When we bought our little oil field, we also got about 15 people that have been operating these assets for the last 20 years. We got a big access to data. We got 3D data that exceeded over 100 million euros of 3D. And then on top of that, we got access to infrastructure. How that's all played out, we made a discovery in January last year. By October, we were producing and we had commercial production. We'll drill 2 more wells on that in the next year, and we expect we'll increase production by somewhere between 600 to 1,000 barrels a day. So for us, that'll result in about a 300% increase in production. But what most of the punters will concentrate on is we've got a very large gas prospect. It's about 800 BCF of gas, which is a big gas prospect for onshore. It's being drilled at the foothills of the Alps, but unlike offshore, we don't have to go 100 kilometres underwater to tie into a gas pipeline. We're 19 kilometres from an international gas pipeline. So we're sitting there in the middle of Europe that's energy starved. We're in a jurisdiction we can get things done quickly. We've got boots on the ground, and we've got a very substantial work program going forward. So look, based on our market capitalisation, if you look at all the usual metrics that most people would have forgotten about because no one thinks about oil and gas too much nowadays, but on a per barrel basis, our EV per barrel is around $2.60. Exploration barrels are about 7 cents, and we're about $27,000 per flowing barrel. What that means is that just on our production basically underwrites our share price. So you invest in ADX, you've got an underwritten share price, but a lot of exposure to short-term growth through gas exploration. And in the longer term, we've got 3 renewable projects that we're taking through to FID, a hydrogen project, which hydrogen's very sought after in Europe. We've got a solar park that we're working on as part of our existing oil field. So we're moving from an oil and gas field actually to, if you like, an energy hub. And then associated with our exploration acreage, we've also got a very nice geothermal play, which has worked very well just across the border for the likes of Vulcan, etc. So in effect, you've got, immediate cash flow, you've got medium-term exploration potential in an energy industry that's actually very well supported in Austria. In Europe, no one says we don't need gas anymore, like you're hearing here. In Europe, they say gas is actually a transition fuel. I mean, most of you came here, you probably flew, you drove a car, and yet we're trying to talk down energy. The reality is that we've seen, if we learned anything from Ukraine, is energy security is really, really important. So yes, we must transition, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and realise that in the immediate term, If you look at the demand for hydrocarbons, it's just been growing relentlessly at about 2% per annum, and that just hasn't stopped. In Europe, they've been trying to do renewables for 20 years, and it's moved the dial by 12%. So yes, we see transition as part of our long-term business, but we need time. All right, thanks.